Crafting and Crime Daily. I'm just pouring my second cup of coffee. You are just in time to hear the continuation of the Henry Dinkins. I don't know what that name will just not sink into my brain. The Henry Dinkins trial. Yes, they just concluded day 12 of that trial. They did a half day yesterday, Friday. You guys didn't get any Friday dance. What? All right, I'm going to do the best I can from my chair because I got to tell you, my ribs hurt too. Everything hurts. You're like, yeah, because you're old. No, because I got hit by another car. And then that car ran me into another car. Anyway, it's like being hit by a bus. But the good news is I'm alive to do the Saturday dance. Yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Anyhow, Henry Dinkins. Prosecution has not wrapped up their case yet. They're still putting on evidence against Henry Dinkins. And it's a good thing because it was severely lacking before. We got a lot of the background story. So here's the background story. Henry Dinkins is baby daddy to little DL, who is at the time of this was 8 years old. Mom, she works at Checkers. She arranges, this is summer, it's July. They're out of school. She says she stops dad in front of the quick stop one day. She's out and about. She sees him driving around. So he pulls over and they, do a little confab amongst the two of them and decide DL should go spend a few days with baby daddy. So the next day, Henry Dinkins picks up DL from Grandma's house because Mom's working at Checkers. He picks up DL from Grandma's house, but DL wants to bring his sister, Briasia Terrell, who is not his child. This is a different baby daddy. Anyway, but she and DL are like two peas in a pod. They do everything together, and DL's like, "Come on, you're coming with me," and they both leave. Grandma's like speechless. She didn't want Briasia to go, but she didn't stop her. I'm like, she's 10 years old. Tell her to get out of the car. No, she just lets her go. Doesn't have anything with her. Grandma just sends them off to spend several days with this guy who, I might add, is a registered sex offender. When he was 17, he was found guilty of having sex with a person under the age of 13. So he's into kids. My grandchildren wouldn't go visit him, but I don't know what they knew. I mean, we don't know what this guy's been telling people. In any case, she goes to spend the night with DL at Andrea's house. Andrea is Henry Dinkins' girlfriend. Henry says he actually lives out in this motor home that's way out by this area called Credit Island. But he spends a lot of time at this house, and he is ultimately arrested because he claims to live at the mobile home, but it's clear that he's living at Andrea's place, but he never put in a change of address on his registration, child offender registration. So they put him in jail for that until they had enough evidence to convict him of whatever they were going to charge him with in connection with Briasia. So kids go over there to spend the night. They're playing video games. There's only a one-bedroom place. It's a small place. So Andrea and Henry decide they'll sleep out on an air mattress in the living room, and the kids can have the bed. So just before midnight, Briacia's asleep. Andrea's going to sleep. When she goes to sleep, DL's playing video games, but he was told he can only do it till midnight. And Henry is just sitting on the couch. Now, this is what we know up until then. We don't know. Henry decides he's going to go out. Now, here's what he says. He went out for 45 minutes or so, and he had gone to his friend's house but his friend wasn't home, so he goes back home. He doesn't get back home till 3:30 in the morning. And how do we know this? Because Andrea wakes up at 3 o'clock. She's got a bladder like me. She she has to go to the bathroom. She sees that Briasia is missing, and Henry hasn't slept on the air mattress. Henry's gone, and he left his cell phone sitting there. So she doesn't know what to do because she doesn't know mom's phone number. That's what her instinct was telling her to call mom. Hey, Briasia's not here. She with you. What's going on? She didn't know what was going on. So she waits. About 3:30, Henry comes sneaking into the apartment. Sneaking in. He's a big man. It's hard for him to sneak. So she's like, what's going on? And he won't talk to her. He goes right to his closet, and he takes something out of the closet. She doesn't know what he took out of the closet. But while he's in the closet, rummaging through, looking for whatever it is he's looking for, she looks out and she sees Briasia standing by the maroon Impala that he was driving, which is her car, Andrea's car. So he doesn't tell her what's going on. He just takes whatever it was he had from the closet. He leaves and they drive away. Now, the defense is going to maintain that Briasia never was in that car that night. They're going to say, hey, she was standing there. She was, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to say, but they're trying to, by the questioning, they're trying to make the judge, because the judge is deciding this case. There is no jury. They're trying to make the judge question. She didn't see Briasia get into that vehicle. So does the defense really want us to believe that he drove away and left her on the curb at 3:30 in the morning? No. Any case, the hunt is on for Briasia. So the lead detective was on the stand for quite a bit of time, several days, and he did a timeline, which makes so much sense now. What they did was 9 months later, they found Briasia's body out at a place called Kunau Implements. It's some kind of farm place that you can buy farm stuff from. Kunau, I don't even know how to spell it to look it up, to be honest with you. But out near this Kunau Implements store, which is out in the middle of nowhere, it's there's this big pond, and these fishermen, 3 fishermen, came upon this skull. And once they saw the skull, they saw some other bones. They're like, oh, we got to report this. And so they reported it, and the cop came out. He immediately um, roped off the area, called in the cavalry, and he had known about missing 10-year-old missing Briasia Terrell because he had helped search for her. So right away, he's thinking this is probably her, based on the size of the bone structures that they were seeing. Anyway, what the lead investigator did is, we're just going to backtrack here for a minute. The lead investigator, based on the interview with DL, the 8-year-old at the time, he actually took them on a ride. He took DL for a ride, and he showed them this area of Credit Island where they had been. He had gone with his father that day because his father comes home during the night after he leaves at 3:30 in the morning with Raja. He comes back home to get DL to take him back to mom's house. That's when he picks up his phone, and then he heads out to a whole different county with DL to go to Walmart to buy bleach and doing all these things. So they're all wondering, why is he passing up 3 Walmarts to go to the next county's Walmart, which is way out, way far away, to buy bleach at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like when they opened, he was there. So they drove DL around, and he showed them this area near Credit Island where there's a pond and there's thick brush. And he said dad was fishing at the Credit Island with 6 other people. A lot of what DL said was completely discounted by the lead investigator. He says, I didn't have enough information to judge his credibility. A lot of things that that DL told him turned out to be true. The machete, the bleach, the Walmart trip, the out to Credit Island. So what this guy did was he canvassed that whole area of Credit Island because there's businesses out there, and he got security footage from each one of those businesses and a homeowner. So there was quite a bit of security footage, surveillance footage that they went through for that night. Anything from midnight till uh, 8 o'clock the next morning. And so several times you'll see this maroon Impala coming and going around 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So this lead investigator puts together this lengthy timeline based on the seeing this Chevy Impala, maroon Impala driving by these places. That's how they figured out where Henry had been that night. So at midnight, and I'm going to read to you the timeline that this officer put together because it's quite interesting. At midnight, Andrea's at the apartment. She goes to bed. DL was playing a game. Ria's sleeping. Henry leaves the apartment. At 2:14 a.m., he is seen on the road passing a business called Jack's Brake Alignment. At 2:29 a.m., and this is all out by this Credit Island. So he leaves. We don't know what time he left the apartment, but when he leaves, he goes out to this Credit Island area. And at 2:29, we see that he's leaving his trailer that's out there that he lives in. So he spent some few minutes in that trailer. Then at 2:30, you see him heading southbound on Schmidt Road, and he's leaving the trailer. That's at 2:49. Oh, I'm sorry, 2:30 to 2:31. He leaves, then he turns around and goes back to the trailer, where he stays for another 19 minutes. At 2:49, he leaves the trailer. At 2:50, he's seen going southbound, which is away from the trailer. 2:51, he's seen entering and leaving that little water area where Credit Island is. And then at 3 a.m., this is when Andrea wakes up and finds Briasia missing. From 3:11 to 3:12, she's trying to call the defendant, and this is when she notices that he didn't take his phone. It's sitting right where she was. At 3:30, the defendant walks into the apartment, retrieves an unknown item from the closet, and leaves. And Briasia was seen standing next to the Impala. Hi, kitty kitty. What's going on, Pearl? Hi, baby. Hi. My cats don't like to be held. They just like to be acknowledged. Just acknowledge their presence. Okay, 3:33 to 3:38. So he leaves the apartment with whatever he took from the closet, and Briasia goes to the quick stop. I've seen the footage from the quick stop, and he goes in and he buys the $35 worth of gas, 2 packs of cigarettes, and a lighter. And the whole time he's in the quick stop, he keeps looking out the window at the Impala, like he's worried somebody's going to get out of the car, maybe. Now, there's a gap in the timeline here from when he leaves the quick stop and returns to come get DL. Because he returned to pick up DL around 4:30. So there's like this 3:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish time frame that we don't know where he was. But just before 5 a.m., he goes in to Andrea's apartment to pick up DL. At 5:55 a.m., Andrea made a call to the defendant's cell phone, and you see the car leaving that complex area. So he was at the apartment for about an hour picking up DL. 5:57, he's headed northbound. 5:59, he's headed southbound. 6:01. This is all different times that they have surveillance footage to go with each one of these times where the Chevy Impala is seen on someone's surveillance footage. 6:05 or 6:01, Andrea calls him because he had left a bag of clothing at the apartment. So at 6:01, he returns to the apartment again, picks up the bag of clothing, and then leaves again at 6:05 a.m. 6:43 a.m. he's seen going eastbound towards Clinton. Clinton is where the Walmart is. You have to pass. Clinton is where all this stuff is. It's a different county. So 6:49 he arrives at the Walmart. 6:54 he exits the Walmart lot because they're not open. And it's this point when he's exiting the Walmart lot that you can actually see DL in the passenger seat of this vehicle. He returns 3 minutes later, 6:57, to the Walmart, and from 6:58 to 7:10, he's inside of the Walmart purchasing the bleach, and then 7:10 a.m. he's back on the road. 7:15 a.m. they see him driving. 7:26 a.m. they see him driving. 7:52 a.m. they see him driving. 8:14 a.m. he's still driving around. 8:15, did I just say that? 8:15 he's still driving around. 8:16 still driving around. Each one of these times, like I said, has surveillance that goes with it. 8:18 to 8:22 he enters and exits Credit Island. So when he left that Walmart, he goes out towards that Credit Island again. So then he is seen on going in his car again at 8:22. 8:24 he is at his trailer. And you can see that the defendant, Henry Dinkins, is standing by the trunk of his car with DL. The trunk is open. Then from 8:26 to 8:27, he's back in the vehicle traveling. At 8:42, he meets Aisha, the mom, to let her know that Briege is missing and she was picking up DL. This is a meeting that they had at the McDonald's. Then at 8:55 to 9:15, this is when he is at Andrea's apartment making the report to Officer Burkle at the scene, and then he gets mad and he disappears. He's seen driving at 9:33, and they pick him up again at 11:46. He's headed driving towards his sister's house. Now we know she wasn't home, but we suspect that's where he changed clothes. Then at 12 p.m. he arrives at the police station. So what happened in that early morning hour after he's picked up Briasia? He takes her to the quick shop. There's that gap. Well, the gap gets filled in by someone who was being a good Samaritan. This is what the guy says. Now, they had to read this guy's deposition because he's deceased. He had a heart attack and died. So he's not available to give his testimony. And he's like the star witness. So they played the interview that they did with him. They did a police interview in a little interrogation room of this guy. And they took his deposition. So they read his deposition into the record, and then they showed the video of this guy. He was out driving. He's driving some kind of truck. He's out, he's working, and he gets waved down in the middle of the road by this black man, and he describes the black man. It is Henry Dinkins to a T. Henry Dinkins has this large mole, like right here. He describes the mole. He describes his build. I mean, it's Henry Dinkins. And the guy flags him down and says, "Hey, this is like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning." Henry flags this trucker down and says, "My car is stuck in a ditch. Can you help me get it out?" And the guy says, "Yeah." Henry offers several times to pay him $100. Now we know he had a $100 bill because, well, we know that he paid for the cigarettes and gas with a $100 bill. So he must have had a lot of $100 bills with him because he's trying to offer this guy $100. to pull him out of the ditch. And the guy's like, no, 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 just do something nice for someone else. So he pulls him out of this ditch. But where does he pull him out of this ditch? Just about 25 yards from the entrance to the Kunal Implements pond, where they find Breasia Terrell's body 9 months later. What? Yeah. So they put on the officer that responded. Once they put the three fishermen on, they describe how they found the skull and the body, and then they put on the officer that responded out there when the three fishermen called 911. So he responds out there. He confirms, yes, it's a human body. He's roped off the place. But he was describing the area. He says, the road is well maintained, but if you break down and have to pull off, it's, he said, you shouldn't because you're going to get stuck, which is what happened to Henry. He got stuck. And he says, if you break down, you just have to park in the road because don't park on that side because you're going to get stuck. Interesting, huh? That's from the police officer. So they call out the medical examiner. They quickly, they have a hunch that this is Breasia Terrell. And she was able to identify Breasia through dental records. But Breasia had been shot twice. She died from multiple gunshot wounds, once to the right shoulder, and the other one went through her jaw. Yeah. And so she passed away. The other people, I haven't listened to their testimony yet. I really want to listen to it in detail, but there were two other people that took the stand with some very interesting testimony. Two jailhouse snitches. Don't you just love jailhouse snitches? So apparently, one of them testified that he was like a father to Breasia, but he also said they will never find her. And that's the same thing he said to the second inmate. They will never find her body. Well, they did find her body. Yes. So on cross-examination of the lead investigator, the defense was very succinct. He says, let me get this straight. You didn't find any of Breasia Terrell's DNA in the car. No blood, no bodily fluids, nothing in this Impala. Nope, didn't find any. You didn't find any evidence that bleach was used anywhere. Nope. Like they examined the clothes. She still had, when they found the skeleton, she was still wearing shorts, a 4X t-shirt. I mean, it all had disintegrated, but it looked like she had not been disrobed. She had the little bralette on and her pants. She looked like she was fully clothed when she was dumped out there near the Kunal pond. So the defense said, so let me get this straight. There's no blood or semen that you found that would connect Henry Dinkins to Breasia. And he says, that's true. We didn't. But you've got all this surveillance footage following this guy around, everywhere he went that night. Now you do. And I don't know if that all these visits to the Credit Island pond area were just a cover. Makes no sense. Also, they dredged that pond and found a weapon, a 38 special. Breasia was killed by a 38 special. The two gunshots came from a 38 special. That was established by a ballistics expert that was put on the stand. Now, I don't know if Henry owned a 38. We don't know. We don't know. Or I haven't heard. I'm still trying to piece all this together that I missed. So I was in the middle of listening to the medical examiner, but cause of death, multiple gunshot wounds, manner of death, homicide, obviously. So thank you. You can get down now. We don't need to see pictures. I don't want to see the pictures. No, you can tell I don't like autopsy photos. Oh my God, have you ever sat through an autopsy? I have. Oh, yeah. It's not for the weak at heart. No. All right. Did we get through the timeline? I think we did. Oh my goodness, yeah. It was lengthy. So what are you thinking? I'm thinking guilty. I wasn't until I heard this guy's. Here's the thing about this guy that saw him on the side of the road, and the problem with that testimony. I mean, it's very damning testimony, but this guy doesn't know when this happened. He can't remember in his head when this was that he saw was flagged down by this black man. But it fits the timeline so perfectly. The guy happened to see it on the news or something, and then he thought, well, then he remembered he had helped this guy, so he called the police and he said, I think I have some information you're going to want to hear. And but he couldn't remember when this occurred. But my bet is on the fact that it fits the timeline. It must have been that same night. You know, we want to know where he was. Well, now we know where he was. He was out by the Coonell pond. Um, yeah, interesting. The other thing about the just to address the bleach issue for a second, bleach will disintegrate over time, especially in the sun. It degrades. So she had been out by this pond for 9 months in the weather, in the sun, in the winter, and did they find bleach? No, but that doesn't mean anything because the bleach may have dissipated. So, in any case, this is a very interesting case. Now, I've got a lot of other stuff I need to update you on. I will. I owe you some more videos. You got them, I promise. I'm starting to feel a little better. It's just when I wake up, yesterday and today when I woke up, after I get up and get moving, then I'm not as achy, but it's still there, the impact. When I close my eyes, yeah, I don't want to do that. I can feel the impact of that car. Isn't that crazy? Okay, that's the show for today, guys. Saturday edition. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'll be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. for coffee and chat and talk about our event, The Great Escape 2023. I've got a Crafts with Crashley gift card to give away to someone that's participating in the event. You don't want to miss it. Show up and say hello, or I will see you Monday in Crafting and Crime Daily for more of the Henry Dinkins trial. Love you all. Bye.